So today we've got John's marvellous chapter at the end of the discourse with Nicodemus, but that isn't really important because the words could have been there or later, but it's what's said and to whom they're said that's important rather than whether it followed there. Following on from that bit of history from Numbers about the bronze snake and the healing of the people in the desert, here John tells us of the story of Jesus lifted on the cross as the source of salvation. Now that's really important, because what actually is coming out in there, Jesus talks about God so loved the world that he gave his only son. The world, the whole world, not the church, not individual Christians, the whole world. And it tells us a lot about judgment. Because judgment isn't some final thing in the future based on merit earned in this life. It's every single waking moment, but it's not judgment from God. God doesn't judge anybody. There is wonderful good news revealed in the person of Jesus on the cross. There is love, unconditional, infinite love for all people, everywhere, all the time. Judgment, quote unquote, comes from whether you accept that or take it at that moment. And that's true for all of us, even those who profess a deep faith in Christ. Every second of every day there's a decision to make. How will I be? What will I say? Whose values and morals will I be proposing? What do people see when they look at me? Is it me or is it God? They need, in every single moment, there needs to be that decision to say, yes, I'm going to do what God would want me to do, and to show to others the love of God. Now, that can be in word or action or some other way, or overtly, whatever is most tactful and caring and loving and kind. But it is that decision point, faced with the glory of God's unconditional love, it is that person's decision which decides whether they are given God's great gift because they are blessed in that way, or whether they carry on without it. And that is the judgment, quote unquote. Do you live life in the knowledge that you are loved by the God who made you, or do you not? Now, if you live in a not state, that doesn't mean you're having a terrible time. It doesn't mean that life is horrible. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you're missing something. And people would say, well, I don't need it. It's not important. But that's because they don't know what it is. That's because they don't realise what it is. To know you're loved by the God who made the universe is to come home, it is to be made complete, it is to have peace and joy beyond words. And that is the best gift you can ever have. And it is the responsibility of all of us who have sensed that love in our hearts to present to the whole world, for God so loved the world, with opportunities to react to that good news. To give them opportunities to say, yes, that rings true, or no, it doesn't. And it may be that we have to give people hundreds and hundreds of opportunities. It's not our job to win them over. We're planting seeds, and what happens is between God and that person. But it is true, the words of the hymn we sing so often. How shall they call if they have never heard the gracious invitation of his word? How can people make a decision that they want God in their lives or not if nobody is telling them about it? How can they come to a point of saying yes or no if the option is never presented? There is a clear and evident onus on all of us in this lesson to be people who speak in word and in action of God's great love for people everywhere. And then see what God does with that.